The possibility of a war between Kenya and Tanzania is an alarming prospect that would wreak havoc not only on these two nations, but across the entire East African region. Historically, Kenya and Tanzania have enjoyed largely cordial relations, though there have been moments of tension and competition that indicate a potential for conflict cannot be entirely dismissed. Kenya and Tanzania share a rich and intertwined past, having both emerged from British colonial rule around the same time. In the years following independence, they collaborated on numerous regional initiatives, particularly through the East African Community, EAC. However, their relationship has also seen strains, notably in disputes over the maritime boundary in the Indian Ocean and issues related to cross-border trade and resource allocation. Several potential triggers could lead to an escalation into war. Border disputes, especially in areas rich in natural resources, stand out as a flashpoint. Economic rivalry, driven by competition over markets and foreign investment, could further sour relations. Political instability within either country poses an additional danger, with internal conflicts potentially spilling over their shared borders. External actors might also exploit existing tensions for their own strategic gains, acting as catalysts for broader conflict. The ramifications of a war between Kenya and Tanzania would be dreadful on multiple fronts. The immediate consequence would be a significant loss of life and the obliteration of economic infrastructure. Businesses would be destroyed and livelihoods shattered, plunging millions into destitution. The entire region would face destabilization, with other East African countries feeling the repercussions through disrupted trade, refugee crises, and heightened insecurity. A humanitarian catastrophe would almost certainly follow. Displacement of people in massive numbers would necessitate urgent and substantial humanitarian aid. The environmental impact would be severe, with war often leading to harmful ecological outcomes such as deforestation, pollution, and the degradation of vital ecosystems. The scars left by the conflict would also impede future reconciliation and cooperation, creating lasting animosity and hindering regional development efforts. Amid these troubling scenarios, regional organizations like the EAC and the African Union, AU, have a critical role to play in averting conflict. By fostering dialogue and cooperation, these bodies can help to de-escalate tensions and promote peaceful solutions. Their active engagement in conflict resolution and peace-building measures is essential in preventing a conflict that would be disastrously costly for Kenya, Tanzania, and the broader East African region. Who do you think will win the war between Tanzania and Kenya? We at Sufuria na Kikombe Media cannot predict the outcome of a hypothetical war between Kenya and Tanzania. Such a conflict would be devastating for both countries and the entire East African region, and it is crucial to prioritize peaceful resolution of any disputes. However, if we were to explore this hypothetical scenario from a strategic and military perspective, several factors could influence the outcome of a war between Kenya and Tanzania. Military strength and capabilities, size and composition of armed forces. Both Kenya and Tanzania have relatively large armed forces, but the specific size, composition, and training of their militaries could play a significant role. Factors such as the number of troops, equipment, and experience levels would be crucial. Military technology. The availability and quality of military technology, including weapons, vehicles, and aircraft, could also be a determining factor. Modernization and technological advancements would give one side a potential advantage. Defense strategies. The defensive strategies adopted by each country, such as fortifications, minefields, and air defense systems, could influence the course of the war. Economic factors. Resource availability. Access to resources, particularly fuel, food, and ammunition, would be critical for sustaining a prolonged conflict. The ability to maintain supply lines and secure resources could be a significant advantage. Economic impact. The economic consequences of a war would be severe for both countries. The ability to withstand the economic strain and continue funding the war effort could be a factor. Geopolitical considerations. Regional support. the level of support from other regional powers, such as Uganda, Rwanda, or South Sudan, could influence the outcome. If one country receives significant external support, it could tip the scales in their favor. International intervention. The possibility of international intervention, either through peacekeeping forces or military intervention, could also affect the course of the war. Leadership and morale. Leadership. The quality of leadership on both sides could play a crucial role. Effective leadership can inspire troops, make sound strategic decisions, and maintain morale. Morale. The morale of the troops can be a significant factor in determining the outcome of a conflict. Factors such as motivation, discipline, and the perception of the cause can influence morale. Hypothetical scenario: a conventional war. If a conventional war were to break out between Kenya and Tanzania, it is likely that it would be a protracted and bloody conflict. Both countries have the capacity to inflict significant damage on each other. The outcome would likely depend on a combination of factors, including military strength, economic factors, geopolitical considerations, and leadership. Alternative scenarios: limited conflict or diplomatic resolution. It is important to note that a war between Kenya and Tanzania is not inevitable. Both countries have a strong interest in maintaining peace and stability in the region. Diplomatic efforts, mediation, and regional cooperation can help prevent such a conflict. If a conflict does occur, it may be limited in scope or intensity. For example, a border dispute or a clash over resources could escalate into a localized conflict without escalating into a full-scale war. The importance of peace and cooperation. Ultimately, the best outcome for both Kenya and Tanzania would be to avoid a war altogether. Peaceful resolution of disputes through dialogue, negotiation, and cooperation is essential for the long-term stability and prosperity of the region. It is hoped that the leaders of both countries will continue to prioritize diplomacy and work towards building a peaceful and prosperous future for East Africa.